Jimmy still?
Well, I'm getting closer though.
I just want to be able to share the total impact.
Did you see that email number that includes the 57 for?
While he's doing that, anyone else have any other questions regarding this?
If you're there. Wait, no, just because it's clubhouse, while we're doing options, there's gonna be more staff. I'd like to see if we can find a way to bake in, committee-wise or whatever, a way to update the way that we reserve and use the clubhouse for community functions. Because like right now, we have to put a $500 deposit if we're having food for a community function. And it was confusing when Jeff and I did the social event a few weeks ago. Jeff wrote a personal check for $500 to reserve this facility for a community function. All residents, yes, we most certainly did, it was required. A $500 deposit because we were serving food. And he took that on himself, that they could go around and find whatever hits they wanted to, and, you know, take it out of his money or whatever, but it's required that we, yeah. So for a community event, we had to pay $500,
And it tells it has food.
and we had to clean it ourselves.
It used to be $750.
And we had to clean at the end, which I'm fine with that. The whole, here's the mop up, here's the in review, for the $500. And if we're gonna have 2 full-time people, why can't they come in the morning? I mean, we're not gonna leave the place a pigsty, leave them off.
No,
Well, no, I agree.
No, I mean, but actually, we gotta meet me if
But we
it's
did
mine.
have residents in here just the other night that
Yeah.
left and wasn't.
Yeah,
And I think updating the clubhouse usage things for
We can
residential
look into
needs
options,
to
I
be,
guess.
I mean, because even right now, we have any of the clubs that she was talking about. If we come in here and have a mommy's book club, you know, every Friday, we have to pay a $500 deposit, and we're gonna serve coffee and cookies. Every Friday, it's only community, but we're serving food.
I usually because it's a food issue, it's the
We didn't even know about it until we reserved it, and then that came up afterwards. And we weren't allowed to walk out any of the doors during the community function. We weren't allowed onto the patio, even in the enclosed area. I don't know how all that works. I'm just saying the whole,
Patio's not rentable.
No.
This is my.
but it's a
concern, though.
community function.
If
We're
they're
renting
the
it.
only community residents, and they scan the card, and they bring a lunch with them, they can do it then, right? Right? I mean, if
If we
all of
just
us
came
came
in
in
on
here,
our
and Linda brought in a Coke, and she brought in some Subway, and she brought in some McDonald's, and blah, 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 you know, they're all residents that have access to the common area.
Because you need to
But
belong
you're
to
renting
it.
it,
I think
reserving
that's
it,
what
you're
I
just,
said.
you
You
guys
say
are
reserve,
reserving it.
it's a reason, you're
You're
reserving
reserving it
it
in
for
space in
a
the head,
function.
you don't have to let anybody
No,
else
it's
use
allowed
it.
to
It's
use that,
reserved
Reserve, that's
for
where
that.
it came up.
Okay,
Because
well
we
then,
were doing function.
I mean, here's a question here, then if it's only residents, do you have to reserve that property? I mean,
Well, I
reserve.
mean, because of conflicts, yeah, we do.
Other
need to
people
have
would rent it
residential.
out from underneath you if we didn't.
Well, it would only come into factor if someone that's actually renting it for a function is at conflict with what you're doing. If you all walk in here and say, I want to have a book club, and you're all sitting over here, and another resident walks through, and you don't have a problem with that, then it's a non-issue.
Right.
But if you're saying you want this space just for book club or just for whatever they're doing, and no one else can enter it, then I think that's the reason for the fee, and that's the reason for the cleanup, and that's because you're taking it on.
Well,
as-
So if we do a social committee like we already did.
and
One of us is gonna collect the $500 deposit.
whoever it is.
Yeah, I'm
If
interested.
it's open to this is open to the entire community, this is social.
We could have a coffee table in here.
Yes.
And we don't eat it anymore.
Yes, right.
So
I am very definitely not okay
No,
with
I'm saying,
doing
if we have a community event like we already did, it's open to the entire community. An Easter egg hunt, whatever, for the entire community, who decides, who puts up the $500 deposit for
But
that?
that's a total different.
birthday, and I decide I'm gonna have a birthday party down here.
Right.
Okay?
Keep it.
So I reserve.
Wait, I'm trying to get that contract. Lisa, we.
I reserve your clubhouse, but you're having your Easter egg hunt.
Hold on.
So it's just kind of like.
president wants control.
Yes.
Go ahead.
With the addition of these 2 full-time people, we're why?
No, it depends.
No, not.
No, it depends. I mean, I had my children's community here and they were not present.
Okay, well,
And there was, I think I ran into a wine tasting and they weren't present
No.
either, it was after
That's
hours.
past your hours.
But now you're gonna have 2 full-time staff.
if we're concerned
One thing I think that
about-
we do need to make note is that we already have 2 full-time staff, but we don't know how long we're going to have 2 full-time staff. As soon as Liz moves on to her next career path, then we'll be hiring a part-timer to replace
What Mary Ann
Mary's
was.
position. So I think we need to clarify a little bit that we budgeted it as having 2 full-timers, but we will not have, it's a temporary thing.
We didn't budget.
What happens if it doesn't come
Out there, it's
That's-
I'm sorry, in our analysis, I'm saying if we had the outside out. To be on the safe side.
When Liz decides to leave, we train a part-time employer to take Mary Ann's place, and you're gonna have 1 full-time and then 1 part-time.
if that $500 fee is in place partially for the destruction or possible destruction of property, if we were to have security, I don't know, or these 2 people, whoever it is who's going to be work their schedule is such that they can be here for a couple hours, either maybe at the end of the function so that they can be sure that things are put away and.
I don't think it's a bad idea, however, you're also talking about how flexible they're going to be if it's something
But
at 9 o'clock at night.
if we're gonna leave that amount, dollar amount as such, or lessen it, and that dollar amount is solely for protection of the place, so it's put back together again once the people leave, and there's nobody here. Somebody here.
It used
to be.
Well, that's something that we should have, but it's gonna be difficult because, they have a schedule too.
I know,
And
up to
this
that.
month, there's a couple of things that have gone on at night and during the day, so, pardon me?
Most of the time has been at night.
Right.
Right, okay. Do you want to speak? I'm sorry, are you still going?
Well, I was just gonna ask when I just do the social committee, okay? If it was a community function such as the Easter egg hunt, breakfast with Santa, or so forth, that was held by this committee, there was no deposit.
No.
Okay, because it is a community event.
Right.
Yes, there was.
That's the way it is now.
Oh, there was a lot of community.
So yeah, it's a social committee that have board members, then it should, so we need, it goes back to what Christina was saying, as soon as we form a social committee that's by a board, then when you do those events, you would not have to pay.
Sarah, we'll look into it.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah, we'll touch the base and we'll add it to our,
It's gonna be
list.
nice. We'll do it, yes. Everything we had under the social committee, when we had book club, we had all this, we would just put it on the calendar to make sure we were meeting that night.
Right.
We didn't tell people they couldn't play pool, we were just
Right.
meeting in a certain area, okay? But there was never any deposit, and we did serve food with breakfast with Santa, the Halloween party, and the Easter. Yeah, ice cream.
And that committee also cleaned up after themselves.
And we did.
And
That
they
was our
did
next
every
thing.
single time.
We did everything cleaning up.
So that wasn't a problem the other night either, they left us come out market and everything.
Yeah.
And that happens at every kind of situation.
And that's what we need, I just be responsible.
Right.
Do it. And that was some of
Right.
No, I will drop that.
Get back on track, guys.
Let's back on track. Jeff, do you want to speak to this before? We have, because I think there's going to be a motion on the table, so did you have, want to go?
I just wanted to visit the CAM issue.
Yes.
Yeah, regarding the CAM issue and stuff, yeah, basically what it is, I tried to do like, okay, what I did do is I just did annual impact, no more just remaining year, but annual impact, it works out really nicely as it turns out. By not having Liz in an LCAM capacity, we saved $7,000 a year. And that pretty much offsets Leland's increase in fees on an annual basis of $7,000. So that kind of cancels each other out nicely. To have Mary Ann go full-time will be an additional $4,000 a year, okay? But on the flip side, Bruce, not doing the doggy stations, we saved $4,000 there. So those two cancel each other out. So everything works out pretty nicely on an annual basis. The impact's gonna be pretty minimal for the remainder of this year. So the other thing we gotta consider though is that, see how we're giving Mary Ann a $1 increase and a week's paid vacation and some personal time. I'm gonna anticipate Liz is gonna want something like that too. So.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, all right. No, how would you feel like if you have someone that's reporting to you, and has reported to you, and you've got like substantially more experience, you know what? I think it's reasonable to expect that she may ask for something increase, and I think that we ought to come up with it. You know, I think she
Do
can
you
do it.
want to speak to that?
Okay.
Would you,
Or not.
as to Liz getting a raise? I mean, yes.
When's the last raise, though? I don't know what that is.
Okay, this is the thing, is that in speaking with Liz, we know that if we vote no on onsite.
Oh, yes, I'm
she's
sorry.
going to- I didn't know where we were.
Yeah.
So this is just going to be a holding spot for her
Yes.
before she leaves. So really,
Right.
it's going to be temporary. So at this point in time, we're keeping her at the exact same rate that she was when she was a supervisor. Mary Ann will be at the same rate, and Mary Ann should have transitioned into that supervisory role. So at this
Okay.
time, it's just holding the position so she continues to go way back.
Okay, that's a good point. All right.
I'm sorry. Well.
So based upon that analysis, I'm fine with having no on-site camp person. So, I mean, the financial impact's gonna be very minimal, so, you know, it's not gonna hurt us.
Do we need a motion? We have to move it to it? Or we just leave it at that? Okay.
Because it is going to
Do I
change.
have a motion for no onsite?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, last piece of new business is the document viewing fees. And I'm going to speak on this one because this is one of my issues. First of all, I want to disclaimer this as to, I want to be as transparent as I can to everyone in this room and to the rest of the community. I have zero issue with anybody going and looking at documents. However, I have a huge issue, and people may not know about this. I have a huge issue that the community is paying for that. Now, I don't know if everyone is aware of this, but anytime we go, and they've forgiven them for a period of time, but anytime we go from this point forward, there is a fee to view documents at legal, a per hour fee, and at the lawyer, it's even higher. So, and those two numbers, I believe, are 50 and 75, and if they're different, please tell me. Per hour. Per hour. No.
No, same.
So because what?
Positive.
Okay. So,
Wait, that's the viewing and the attorney. So you're
No,
saying
no,
that-
no, it's $125 fee and
No.
real is the exact same as the.
so here's my issue on moving further with this. It's per hour. Now, each resident is entitled to go and do that. It's Florida statute. But I want everyone in this room to know that everyone in this community is paying for that. It's not coming out of, it's coming out of the HOA. So if this continues, because we just had a $360 bill because of viewing documents. If it continues, we may in the future need to look at the budget and add a line item for this. It could become significant. Since December, the number is almost $700. So
Why can't, if they really that sincere about wanting to look at documents, have it made out of
because
documents?
that's not how the Florida statute works.
Not the.
Why don't we upload it on the
How
website?
about a copy to everybody?
Put the documents on the website.
That was
Don't cost
proposed
anyway.
before. There's been some discussion about doing that as well.
Okay.
I just want you to know, as it stands now,
That was proposed, and we are going to try, as the website gets updated and the website committee gets as many documents as we possibly can. We are advised by our attorney that it would not stop people from wanting the original copies of documents, that they would not trust the scanned documents that we put.
let me just finish the whole caveat, and then I'll take the questions. So how you break this down is you need to realize is that anytime we do this, you're charging all the other residents. And I, as a resident, don't like it. I don't mind if anybody goes, if they're paying for it themselves, I don't care who looks at what. I don't care any of that. I have a big problem that it's coming out of my pocket when I can gather those documents in another way.
Absolutely.
So that's my 2 cents of it. I'll take any questions if the board wants to talk about it, but it's something that's been bothering me because of that dollar figure attached to it.
Okay. Help me on understand this. So we're saying that anytime someone wants to do, there's 2 fees, one from Leland and one from the borough? I'm confused.
There's no
Explain that.
salary fee from the attorney to have one of their staff members be there.
So that they have to be there.
Oh, yeah, they have to.
That's required. So last year when we had a bunch of people coming over and you were charging like a fees for copying, we had an
Well,
attorney there?
We did.
No.
They had waived a lot of fees last year for us,
We didn't charge
but
any
it's
fees.
becoming
But
more.
there was no attorney present, right?
It was, it has nothing to do with the attorney, it's just the time that is being taken from any staff member being there.
No, what I'm saying is like last year when people wanted to like make copies of various documentation, we didn't have an attorney there.
The attorney's not there either with
Okay.
these people, it's just a staff member from the, if the attorney was there, it's the department from the office.
Okay,
Stand better for the attorney's office alone.
I think what they're saying is that when you ask for documents from a lawyer specifically.
No, not even there, even
Doesn't
from
matter.
Leland,
I think
because of
it's
the
public.
excessive abuse of meeting, for residents needing record from the community, Leland now charges us a fee of $75 an hour
For their time.
for their time to be present to sit or. At the
Originally,
same time, Neil McCullough had agreed that he would charge the exact same rate that Leland would of the $75 an hour if they were reviewed at the attorney's office. The benefit being that what was happening is that the residents were having questions about the documents that we're reviewing, and the attorney was able to answer them.
Okay, so it's 75 either way.
it's $75 an hour. And the reason it wasn't charged before was because Leland was being generous enough to, because it was only hit and miss, but as it's gotten worse and worse and worse, and now they're not going to just allow us to come in any time, take one of their staff members and use them as, personnel.
So what's the better route that you want to recommend?
Well, there's nothing wrong with getting one.
What type of board member?
Yeah.
That's because you have access to the same thing if you request it from the board versus going down and dealing with it yourself.
And we are going to try to expand the website. It's just going to take a little time to get, documents on there.
But there is a free
Maybe-
way or a more cost-effective way to just ask the board member.
In the meantime, until things are on the website.
Okay, and if I understand this correctly, then the HOA absorbs the cost, so like any copying fees, the resident pays nothing.
Yeah, the copying fees, the copying fees are charged to the website.
They don't, okay, yes, but there's been times where people have brought their own copies, and so.
When you bring a scanner,
Then
then
there's no.
yeah.
So what do we charge? Well, maybe it's not worth it.
I know it sounds
Oh,
cool.
I see.
I don't know who was first, was it Jeff or Rebecca? I'm sorry. Rebecca, go ahead. Go ahead.
So if we go through you, it's not going to cost the association anything? To get a copy of the document from them?
What do you say here?
Because if we go, it's going to cost, if you're not going to Leland and get a order.
You know, Andy, I want to know what March 31st financials are,
We're going to find
then
out.
I can get them and I can send them to you.
But I'm asking you this, how are you going to get them? Are you going to have?
I've already provided them.
Well, there's going to be, I'm sure, if that's the route that everybody's going to take. At some point, there's going to be a question that you're going to have to go into the records to find, and you don't have that information.
I say that we'll
Is
do
it,
it all.
no, it's
If it's something that's easily accessible and I have, I would say, here we go. I'm
Right,
going to
yeah.
what I have, I will give. But
Is
if
the
you're going to ask
question-
me to give up invoices from 8 years ago, I'm going to say, have fun, and by the way, these communities can hate you.
Right, but let me finish what I'm saying. Amen. If it's something that you guys can provide out of your
Yes.
pocket here, that it's free. If you're gonna have to go to Leland, we're still gonna get charged.
Is that true? If a board member requests a document from you, only being charged $75? No?
Not if it's a specific document. If you wanted to see the entire.
You said
give me
yeah.
the box for it. Yeah, I don't know, the board is fine, I can give it to you, and if you're gonna be there while they're watching, then it's nothing.
No.
As long as you have the responsibility for the.
I understand. But if a board member requests a document, we're not being billed as $70,000. I think that was the question. Is that a question?
Yeah.
So that's it. Jeff?
I think this problem works a lot of itself out. A, Leland's going to scanning invoices, and I think that was one thing I had talked about. But B, one of the things I had asked in the past was I wanted to see the Blade Runner's invoices, which I went through every single one they've ever given us. And from that, I found out we prepaid landscaping. So that was a huge issue that apparently no one really paid any attention to. We prepaid landscaping. That's just one small thing. I think that once they're scanned and once they get online, I think a lot of this works out. And I'm not speaking bad about the previous board or any individual, but when I asked for the information, I wasn't given it. I contacted an attorney of mine. He said, this is the proper way you format the letter to receive the information you want in a proper way. I sent that information to Leland. to the board of directors, Carrie Leland. Vanessa furnished the information, and from there, I had more questions and more questions due to the stuff I had seen previously. So that's why it initially started in such a way. But I think once it goes scanned, if it's got a location online where anyone can view it once they're logged on the
Our
website.
website is still working.
Right, I think a lot of this works itself
We'll get
out.
there.
I agree with you, and I think it's going to be better. I just want the community to know for the uninformed people that do not know that we're being charged a fee, that it may, if it continues at that number, it may have to be a line item in the budget. And that's really where my concern is.
Yes.
Not that doing documents, I wouldn't care if people do them all
Why
day.
don't you send a notification to everybody, people will notice.
It's gonna cost
You
more.
send the letters out there anyway, you spend all that
I'm not
money.
into it.
That's what we're.
Not everybody on the website.
And that's what we were down. So. I'm not opening a can of worms here, but it was something that's really.
I wonder how other subdivisions do it. I mean, I don't know how.
Vanessa can probably answer that, how often do others do it?
They want to see them.
No, they don't.
We had it for a year.
Yeah.
They now,
We're using. I have a question that's, you know, what is this, how much is this, did they get a copy? I mean, obviously, there's something small, I sent them, you know, here's the contract or whatever, something like that, but when you're saying, what happened in 2009, at this date, I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't go and dig in all the boxes, I will give you the boxes, you can look for it. Our something that just happened us that we are the most aggressive residential neighborhood, that we are the 1% of most aggressive involved residents.
Now, I did ask Vanessa for some, 3 years back for landscaping, for some reason. And she.
That's a little different, that's a
That's
committee
different.
function. That's a committee function.
Yeah, and that was, those are reports that I can pull.
Okay, yeah, well, see,
There's things that I can pull the report out of our system, yeah, that I can just generate. But if it's something before we managed that, in 2008, or something that we wouldn't have in our database, so we cannot pull that information.
And just so you know, it is a Florida statute, we do have to provide it, we have to provide it within a certain time frame. It is a requirement, so it's not like the board can just pass it and say, hey, we're not doing this anymore. It's gonna have to be added if it's needed, as Lynn and Christie, I'm sorry, go ahead, I'm here waiting.
I was just gonna say, if the website didn't work out, if it shouldn't take too long on the website, they would just do it the way the courthouse does it. You have a designated computer that you could go to and get your documents, just when you do a document retrieval for any legal research that you want.
That was the thought that came up too, was not sorry, getting that, if it was scanned in. I mean, that's the whole thing, some of the documents are historical documents that are in boxes and are not scanned in.
Has any of the board had a chance to go look at our records at all? The way they're kept? And this is no reflection on you, Vanessa, I know you don't file them, but they're atrocious. They are years mixed up with different years. That's part of the problem when I went one time to look for something, and you give, let's say, a 2010 box, you're looking for something there, it's not there because it's in 2012, January with other paper. You need to go look at it and see it. And that was at the Overcullis. It's terrible.
Hopefully the scanning is going to,
But I'm saying, no, that's what's taking, the time is, takes me 3 hours that I should be able to go to the box in 10 minutes and find it. And we could cut down on our fees if they were kept a little better. I said, not against you, Vanessa, I'm sure the girls down there are just filing away, and that's what they're doing. I found other developments, paperwork in ours. So that kind of concerned me.
yeah, this was more for FYI, I just wanted everybody to be aware that we are being charged. Okay, so you want to set the next, looks like we're done with new business. Jeff? Oh, go ahead, Jeff.
Well, actually, it's not new business, but I want to revisit it. I just want to like spell things out so nothing falls through the cracks here. If we determine how we're going to communicate with blade runners that we're done with them. We set a non-renewal, but
A cancellation letter.
cancellation, did it have an effective date that we expect them to work right
Yes.
through June
Well, no,
30th?
I'm gonna have to email him, because he's, obviously, June 24th was his last day, but now I'm gonna have to email him and let him know that he can work through January 29th. Why do you keep saying January?
you're taking away our summer.
Through June 29th, therefore the new company can start July 1st, just a Monday.
Right, I think it's important that we send him a letter, okay? And if we can, I became aware of this today, so this is great. This is is where we actually sent that letter, we sent certified return receipt, so
Yeah.
I think we've got to do the same thing, just to give Travis like an official, letter. Make it professional, encourage, certified return receipt, just saying, your services will be terminated as of June 30th because we decided to go another route, or something like that, or retire ProScape, if you want to mention them, do what you want, but you gotta send them something, let's make it official, have it on record, file it away, just for legal purposes and stuff.
You're welcome to rebid next year.
Okay, yeah, and if we're not happy with ProScape, we want to revisit,
Right.
and if anyone wants to, before they leave, take a look at what Blade Runners gave us. These are like before and after pictures, before they were contracted to do landscaping and after. So you're welcome to take a look at this, at your leisure or a few minutes after. The other thing is, before we sign any contract with ProScape, all board members need to get a copy of that thing. Because I'm looking at the sample copy here, it does not say 30 days at any period of time. What it does say is that after 1 year, they need 30 days to get notice. That's what I'm seeing in here, unless you folks have another copy. I don't want to go down that path. Okay, now I know you mentioned that they got a 30
There's
days.
something else in there though.
Oh, is there?
Yeah.
Because I don't know what section would be in, because I didn't see it.
Does the scope of work have to be?
Yes, it does.
I mean, the scope of work right there would be.
Right.
Going from a 60-day cancellation to 30-day, we're already
Contract
starting out.
clients shall each have the right at any time to terminate this agreement without cause on 30 days prior written notice to the other party without any liability.
3.5.
Page 32.
Termination.
Page 32?
Yeah.
Oh, it's in section 3?
It's in section 2.
Section 2. I'm looking at the maintenance agreement, so I'm not looking at the right page.
Okay, go to page 3202.
It's 3.5.
Yeah, that's that one. Go to page 32, where it goes to termination.
Well, that contradicts what it says right there at the beginning of the contract.
That's the
That's why I said
sample
not
contract.
to read contract.
That's there.
That's why I said make sure you look at that contract with them to make sure, that's why I wanted to point those two things out. It said all renew, that you want to make sure it's in the contract.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah, it is. Yeah. All right. Well, we're gonna have to fill in all the blanks and stuff, right?
Yes.
So before we do that, let's make sure all the board gets a copy of this thing. We'll all feel comfortable with it, okay? Okay.
If you can contact me, Melanie, so let me know that it was awarded, I can get contact on it. I'm not sure what your contact person.
I think I'll come to you later.
Just want to make sure that, yeah, I'll double.
Yeah, and it will be Sean. Yeah.
And I don't know, I mean, I almost think that should be a letter too. I feel like it would be, I think more official, it's professional, it's a record.
I take that comment.
Emails get lost.
Okay, I will tell you this, I told you the top 3, including Blade Runners, that they would have the final determination that we would be letting them know.
Okay, we can let them know verbally or through an email if you want, but let's follow up with a letter, make it official. They say that the contract will be signed, reviewed and signed by the board of directors, at the next meeting. Or we'll wait till.
Can't do it before.
Yeah, do it
No,
before.
you just have to sign it.
Okay.
But you're going to need a motion to approve it.
All right, well, we can each sign it. Can we sign it by email and then scan it back to you?
You can sign it, but
James,
All right,
will be
so-
signing.
Well, I'll send it to everyone, as soon as I get a approval from everyone, then I'll sign it.
I believe it's you're going to need an original signature.
right,
Yeah.
You can't have all of them or copies, got to be original.
And can you also allow Blade Runners to let us know that, unfortunately, thank you. Verbal, because I told them verbally.
Okay, and one last thing, this is going to get in this also. I don't want any of us to sign that contract until we get a copy of the latest and greatest certificate of liability record. The one that's in their package is as of April 2012. Something might have changed, but we need the one for April 2013,
Good
if not sooner.
Nice to
Okay? And we got to make sure that we compare it to this and make sure they have appropriate coverages, because sometimes they might have a more recent one, but if you look at it, each line item, oh no, suddenly it's been reduced in half or something because they couldn't afford it. So we want to make sure they have sufficient coverage.
Well, and you just, Jeff, that I want to point out, that was a very good find, because I noticed on the 3.5 page, that on every other page they had initialed and signed. They did not provide a page. So we need to make sure that, you notice here that the scope of work, all signatures were there except for that last page on page 35.
That's the first time I saw it, you know.
I'm glad I know that.
Okay.
It's in there.
Is, we're all good? Okay, so the next meeting date, June 4th, 7 o'clock?
Yep.
One thing,
It's always the first
you
Tuesday.
guys have any comments on, this is kind of, not this, putting up any basketball nets in the park?
I think that's May